Hello, podcast listeners. Very welcome back to the Hard Yard. Firstly, I hope that you're all safe and sound wherever you are, doing as awesome as always. And as some of you already know, the Hard Yard is where I'll be talking about my experiences, sharing some insights and perspectives. And today, I'll be talking about virtual reality. Now, if you're into IT, I believe that you may enjoy this episode. You might even have an opinion about it. So, please feel free to share it with me. And if you're listening to the episode on anchor.fm, you can actually leave a voice message, or else you can find me on Twitter at ArvindK2Moog. But again, we happen to experience virtual reality by attending a couple of events in Dublin, Ireland, and I'll be sharing what I got to know from them, right? And finally, if you're not into IT, it's still fine. I'm going to be talking about VR from more of a generalistic perspective rather than the technology standpoint. So, without any further delay, let's get into the episode now. So I'll do one thing. I'll start off by giving you a comprehensive context into this whole experience about virtual reality. I mean, this happened. This is a remembrance from the year 2019, the time when I was working as a restaurant in charge in one of the fanciable restaurants in the south of Dublin, Ireland. I used to manage daily operations, leading the team on busy days, accommodating customers on a day-to-day basis. Needless to say that my role at the time was very much well-rounded. I used to work mostly 5 days a week and at times more, from 4 in the evening till 11 p.m. midnight, mostly 11 p.m. midnight. I was a postgraduate in computing, in computer science for the time, but I happened to be the person who actually enjoyed working in the restaurant domain. It took me almost 5 years to ladder up in the organization into the role of an in charge. But along with the joy of being promoted up the ladder, there was I remember having a little bit of anxiety to perform flawlessly at the highest level, and the role itself was a learning experience, to be honest. I mean, with an opportunity to garner insights while being encountered with new challenges every single day, and on top of that, I kept myself engaged with learning and understanding modern day business development practices from everywhere else, including social media. And I used to listen to a lot of podcasts. I used to attend events. But one thing I would like to share with you, one code or one advice I came across on the internet that I want to share with you is this one. I mean, if you manage people or lead a team, always remember that you work for your team and not the other way around. And that was one of the best advice. I mean, that was the advice that I came across that actually really put me in a better place. That's what I think, to be honest. And this one piece of advice, that the one I'm talking about, it made so much sense to me at the time. I mean, if you're the manager, it's your job to look after your team's well-being, and that's what it simply said. I mean, with that being said, I also understood that being good at my role required me to have common sense at all times, at least during the working hours, and be well informed about your team and about your work environment, and what's happening around in the industry, and also made me live around the corners of opportunities. I mean, the more I understood my role as an in charge, the more I started attending events in Dublin, to be exact. At that point, my singular agenda was to meet as many new people as I can in networking events and pay attention to where the world is actually moving. Uh, I also made the decision to use my free time in knowing where the opportunities are, and what skill sets are required and what skill sets are working at that point of time, so that I could go back to my workplace and be the guide and mentor for my team. you know It was a little bit selfish and selfless at the same time. In fact, learning how to do my job right did definitely put me in the edges and in the action at all times. And during that period, I made myself accept the changes and undertake plenty of creative hobbies. Hobbies such as seeking knowledge, meeting new people, attending events, listening to podcasts, going on vacations, at times alone, at times with friends. Working persistently, nurturing my body. I still feel like I'm fit enough. I'm skinny, but I think I'm fit enough, right? And along with that, I somehow made myself stay young and relevant to all the colleagues for the most part. I mean, I work with plenty of younger people, so I made myself come off as relevant to them as well. And in my opinion, after listening to a lot of people and after listening to a lot of advice, people in senior level roles must always be able to accommodate their team. Having a vision for their subordinates is the most important thing the leaders can focus on. I mean, if the managers aren't creating any sustainable environment for their talent pool, for their colleagues, for their subordinates, the leaders will lose. It is as simple as that. And being a computing graduate and listening to the best of the ideologies, such as the one I mentioned, a couple of them I mentioned, they helped me stay curious about having a vision for the people who work with me. I remember the things I remember I put my head around at that point of time were, uh, I'll give you a couple of them. I'll give you probably five or six of them. They were all simple. That's what made me stay relevant and work, I believe. And one of them was like, work for the logo and the team. I mean, uh, after some point, I mean, sometimes you don't have any needs. Sometimes you might feel happy and content. So lack motivation to work, right? I mean, at that time, I used to tell myself, work for the logo and work and your team. And I also remember telling myself, educating myself about happier teams achieve more financially as well as productively. And make sure give respect to mental health. Mental health is important. It's a bigger deal for sure. Remember that. And another thing is like I also used to tell myself, because like learning is exhausting. I used to feel that learning is always exhausting, and at times underrated, because you're you're allocating your time to learn things rather than meet your friends, or be with your friends, so it is underrated. So be the best example you can ever be. And also one more thing is like, be on the edge. I mean, stay on the lookout for what is working in the industry and also everywhere else, because your team might not be uh, focusing on the same industry. They might be looking for opportunities in different industries. So have an idea about the opportunities, how the industry is moving, and where the opportunities are, so that you'll be in a better place. And always encourage hobbies such as reading, listening, speaking, and writing. I mean, communicating. That I'm a big believer of communicating. I bet big on communication. That's the reason I have a podcast. I write, I listen, I speak, and I also read. So I used to keep telling myself, encourage these hobbies. That'll be good for them as well as for their future. And also, this sounds like a douche. I mean, this sounds like goofy and all. But again, I listened to one of this advice, but again, I told myself, okay, this is actually works. I mean, that's the thing is like, don't be bothered to act like a superhero whenever required, because sometimes all your team, all your people need is hope. So be able to create that hope and be okay with failing. I mean, feel not will not successfully achieve every expectations. So be okay with failing. And one thing that really made myself happy was, like, forgiving myself for the mistakes, and it was fundamental throughout the process. I mean, I used to I definitely forgive myself if there is any mistake, if I make a mistake. I mean, so that's what keep makes me keep going. And I've been to events such as book launches, business conferences, language exchange meets, job expos, art festivals, and I travel as well, gathering information, meeting new people, learning new crafts, figuring out the future of work. So that's what I was doing during that point of time as an in charge of the restaurant. And I remember the world in Dublin was, and I think it still is, exuberant. I mean, from musicals and historicals to technological advancements, there are plenty of opportunities for everyone to indulge in, everyone to participate in, and everyone to learn from. Thanks to social media and the internet, finding these events was and is still immensely easy. And one fine day, I was glancing through the list of events that are happening in the coming week and saw these couple of events pop up on my Facebook page. And my initial reaction was like, oh, people here are talking about VR passport. It sounded super cool to me. I mean, to be honest, I mean, it was already super cool. And then there was more. I mean, there was another event that's called Technology Immersion in Business. So, firstly, I personally know plenty of kids who love to own a VR headset, play games on VR. So now I have this opportunity to experience it, right? So that, I can go back to them and share my experience with them. And in addition to that, they're also talking about technology, emotion in business. And that itself compelled me in deciding to spend few hours of my Tuesday, that was my only day off, with the Digital Hub Ireland. And I remember reaching Digital Hub's cluster at around 11:45 a.m. and there were like two kids alongside me. We together navigated ourselves into the building and reached the office space. And there was a 1,200 square feet gaming lounge specifically designed for VR tryouts. And you can actually sense how I felt being there with two 11-year-olds for the event called VR Passport. I was the only one who was like more than 30. I mean, the age gap was there. I mean, I was with 11-year-olds at this event, trying virtual reality headsets. So we were given the headsets and explained what we can do with them. There were gaming apps installed, and we have given the controllers and assurance to try out everything we liked and everything we could. And I remember there are games like Beat Saber, where you'll have to, yeah, it's like fighting thing. I mean, not exactly fighting other person, but again, it's like an adventurous gaming thing, a game theme. And there were apps like YouTube VR, and I remember there are also Google Maps VR, and so many more. I mean, it was the first time I tried VR, and it was awesome. I was so busy enjoying the experience, and then they actually let me be there for 2 hours. I mean, it was supposed to be an hour thing or 45 minutes thing, but they simply let me, they let me be there for 2 hours, trying all the games I could on the VR. Like there was something like Ocean Rift, and all these games I was trying. I tried almost everything on there, everything on the app, everything on it. And I also remember, trying Google Maps VR. Like I actually feeling like I was all around the United States of America. I was traveling in United States of America virtually, right? Being in Ireland physically. And coming to the event, the induction started off with an explanation about what is majorly happening in the virtual reality space all over the globe with regards to business success. And as soon as I walked into the room, I remember there was a lady waiting in the room, and we had a casual chat, casual conversation for a few minutes, like couple of minutes, till the point where I got to know whom I'm really talking to. I mean, She was none other than Camille Donegan, general manager and a producer of the company Virtual Reality Ireland. And Camille was a very well known individual in the virtual reality world, especially in Ireland. She has excelled parallelly in the information technology domain as well as in the literature and arts discipline. And today I really feel glad that I got the opportunity to meet her, talk to her, even for a couple of minutes. You know, and fun fact, eh, more than anything, I mean, it was a free event. I haven't paid a single cent to be there. Just so learning doesn't always need to be expensive. There are plenty of worthy events that are happening around the world. I mean, for free, and it was one of those events. And Camille and the team of Digital Hub impacted us, the technology and business enthusiasts, by demonstrating how VR can transform the way we do things, especially in business outlets. We've been explained about the wide range of areas where virtual reality can come in handy in the near future. A couple of examples I remember were how how elderly people and how patients in the hospitals can use VR services to make them feel safe, feel better, and how countries can actually use them for security forces, and how businesses and even doctors can help people and their employees sustain well in the upcoming technology centric world. So basically they have illustrated us how it is being done in the realistic way, deciphering the technology trend to generalists like myself. Camille came up with the slideshows that demonstrate a couple of the case studies. I remember they have previously worked on a couple of case studies, so they demonstrated them to us. Basically, they helped us understand it by letting us experience a first person view of their work. They work for an insurance company called FPD Insurance, and another for plumbing company called Woody's. So basically, according to those case studies, VR for training is already a successful execution. I mean, they already did that, and they were able to demonstrate to us what they did and how it worked, and why it's very much feasible in the up and coming years. As I said earlier, by participating in this technology immersion in business induction event, I, along with other attendees, we actually gained the opportunity to experience the actuality behind the concept of VR for training. When these two companies, FPD Insurance and Woody's, experienced problems with their employees, needing reassurance for their lack of knowledge about the customer queries and operations, the virtual reality of Ireland has trained the employees by using, virtual reality on how to use the products and how to answer the queries of the customers, on how to, engage with the customers, right? I was actually blown away by the fact that people who receive training in virtual reality for their company and customers have actually achieved a lot more confidence and accuracy while performing in their roles. I mean, in fact, as a part of the event, we were all given the same training that the employees undertook. The employees went through. We all wore the newly released Oculus Quest at the time, and received the first person training on how to do the work in hand, respective to each of the experience. I have to tell you, I was never familiar with any sort of plumbing work my whole life, but that VR experience made me feel like I can actually do it without any more training. I mean, I can go and fix a tap, and I can go you know what do you call do any plumbing work without any training. I felt that confidence after experiencing VR training. It took me approximately 10 minutes to feel immensely confident about plumbing altogether. That was funny, but at the same time, that was the truth. That was the reality. And We have put on the VR headsets 2 times and gained two different experiences. One was taking a customer inquiry call for a FPD insurance company, and the other one is fixing a tap for Woodies, right? It was surreal. I just felt like I was in the physical space of FPD insurance company, reporting, addressing, and solving a complex customer query. I call that experience a surreal experience because until that point I was only looking at VR from a gaming standpoint as a wannabe gamer, and I used to see kids play games on VR. So I felt really really I was happy to experience that. I'll put it in that way. Moreover, on both these occasions, the people who were trained in VR, I wanted to let you know, according to the virtual reality island, as well as according to these companies, the people who are trained in VR experienced growth in their confidence while selling their products, and also speaking to their customers, answering queries and compliance. The practical experience about how to use the products they sell in a virtual reality environment help them work more efficiently according to the companies. According to the companies, it really happened. you know and what I learned from there was like one of the most, I would like to share with you that one of the most significant advantages of using VR for training, according to what I learned from, was employees will gain practical knowledge, and they'll obtain their training in a safer space, and without having any time constraints. They get to know, in a safe place, and they get to know well. And finally, that's what I got to experience by attending a free event. So I suggest you to attend events you think that'll add value to your life, your career, and go there and check out. There must be a lot of free events happening that's worth trying as well. And if you are interested in knowing more about virtual reality, Virtual Reality Ireland has their case studies on VR for marketing, VR for tourism, VR for events, and more on their website. They're definitely on fleek, and after gaining some first person experience myself, these things make a lot of sense to me. And the event itself has given all of us an idea about the future of work from a better perspective. I'll share with you a couple of links in the description, so you can go there and check out what I'm talking about and gain more knowledge, right? So that's what I wanted to talk about. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and if you have any questions, or if you have any queries, or if you have any perspective, if you have any opinion, and if you want a review, please do it. Share it with your friends, and share it with your colleagues, and whom you think really enjoy listening to this episode. And with that being said, I'll leave now. I'll come back with another new episode. As of now, we'll be coming back with another episode of Talking Optimism coming week. So until then, have a great day, have fun, cheers.